Okay, in this video we're checking out 4 of these Whoop all-in-one boards with the flight controller and ESC combo in a single board. There's been a number of these have come out, you can see, and some question as to whether or not they're clones or what the deal is with them. Well, if you stick around to the end of the video, I will give you an answer to what is going on with these. But let's go ahead and open up each one of these one by one. I haven't actually touched any of these yet. They're still in the packaging they came with. There's 4 of them here. There's the 12 amp all-in-one from Beta FPV. These are all F4s. This one is 2 to 4S. And then we have the GEP RC 12 amp, also an F4 2 to 4S. And then we have this new one. This is the newest one I've seen. Another 12 amp all-in-one. Call it from Nameless RC. This is another Whoop style board, 2 to 4S, also an F4. Then we have the one from iFlight, and this is, I think this box is for something else actually. This is, I believe, also 2 to 4S. This box has to be for something else. It's not a 6S Whoop style flight controller board. It's also 12 amps and 2 to 4S. So let's go ahead and take this one out. Look at these one by one, see what we get. This is the one from iFlight. And we get a bag with some steel M2 screws and some rubber grommets. This is for vibration dampening and mounting, and some, looks like these are nylon nuts. And we have an XT30 battery lead. We get a Whoop antenna for the video transmitter. So this is a bundle that comes with the video transmitter. I believe you can get the board by itself without a video transmitter. I believe that's an option. And then we have this little cable here. It's a 1mm connector on one side and 1.25mm connector on the other side. This might be for a camera perhaps, or a receiver. And that's it for inside the box. And then we have the board here. And it's connected already. So we have a 12 amp 4-in-1 ESC and flight controller. You can see all the FETs on the bottom here with the plugs already soldered on, and the USB port here, and you have your battery leads here, and then you have your power switchable 25 to 200 milliwatt video transmitter. It is on these small pins right here on this side and this side, and I believe the way this is set up is you can reverse this if you want to. So you can see it pops out like that, and instead of having it this way, you can reverse the orientation to go the other direction if you want to. So you can go like this instead. As I guess that depends on what kind of canopy you have, etc. But let's take a look at the video transmitter board. You have 3 pins, or 3 lights here, sorry, and not really coming out too well on the camera. These are really super tiny. Yeah, so top one there is power, then the second one is band, and the third one is channel. I think that is for picking your band and channel and power settings via the small button here. But it does have smart audio, of course, which is what I would recommend using. Micro FL connector for the Whoop antenna, but you could obviously use a different antenna if you want to. And they're calling this the Success Whoop VTX. Pit mode, 25 milliwatts, 100 milliwatts, and 200 milliwatts. I believe it uses smart audio as the protocol. And you have some writing here, 5 volts ground and video. And so it looks like there should have been, well, they're probably in another version of this pin header here, probably for this cable that is being used. I think that's what that's for, but obviously they have not installed the pin header here. You can direct solder the wires to there's these little tiny solder points right here. So that's video, ground, and 5 volts if you want to use solder or wires instead of the pins here. Perhaps if you're installing this on some other type of application. But if you're using it with the iFlight board, obviously you just want to go ahead and use the pins because there's no soldering involved, just plug and play. So that's the video transmitter. Here's the top of the flight controller, and you'll see that this is also very similar to the GIP RC and the Beta FPV as well, but then they don't have the little pin headers there. So we got an MPU 6000, you got an F4 chip, OSD chip, and let's see what else. And it looks like we have a small black box chip here. I'm not sure if the other ones have that or not. I think it's a voltage regulator there, and they have your soldering points here. I think up here is for your LED and buzzer, and over here is going to be for your VTX and camera over here. This looks pretty similar to the way the Beta FPV and GIP RC boards are laid out. I will take those out and show you that as well. And it does look like right here are your receiver connections. Okay, so we'll set this aside. Let's look at the next one here. Let's go ahead and open up the GIP RC one. Okay, so again we have some screws there, some self-tapping screws and grommets for mounting, so they don't have the long M2 screws in this one. You have to source that yourself, and it doesn't look like it has anything else, any other screws in there. You do get the standard GIP RC sticker pack, and you get a XT30 connector, no capacitor. I think all of these don't have capacitors because of the capacitors that are already on the board. Again, you can see the bottom of the board here, USB port there, you got your battery connection there, and all the FETs and the battery or the motor plugs are already soldered on. And this one here has a little QC sticker, and I'm going to pop that off. And this is what the GIP RC board looks like, also 12 amps. You've got your MPU 6000 there, you got your F4 chip, OSD chip. This one doesn't look like it has the black box chip that the iFlight one has. Let's go ahead and bring that into shot here. Let's orient this the same way. It's very similar. You look at these two side by side, very, very similar. The MPU 6000 is in the same spot, and the F4 is in the same spot. So is the OSD chip. The voltage regulator looks like it's slightly skewed. The boot button is moved to a different location, as you can see. So the boot button's down here, and then the GIP RC's up there. And then this one has, I think, the black box chip right there. The GIP RC does not have that chip, it looks like. The solder points here are kind of in the same spot though. You got your camera VTX on this side over here, LED buzzer on that side over there, and receiver there. Though that looks the same. Yeah, so we have buzzer over here, LED buzzer there. It looks like the receiver there, you got some UARTs there. And this one also has pads for buzzer down there as well. So very, very similar. You can see the battery lead is in a slightly different location here. Looks like it's a little bit further up. No, actually, never mind. It does look like it's in the same. That looks like it's in the same spot. Obviously, the GIP RC doesn't have the pins for the VTX. That is not there. But if you look at the underside, that looks pretty similar, if you ask me. Alright, so let's look at the one from Beta FPV. So again, you get your screws. It looks like some slightly different screws again, some self-tapping screws, and the rubber grommets. A little bit different sizes here, so you can see here different sizes between the GIP RC and the Beta FPV ones in white, and then also the ones here, the blue ones from iFlight are also bigger. I think those are the same size as the GIP RC. The ones from Beta FPV are smaller. And then in the box you get an XT30 already soldered onto the board, as you can see here, but nothing else. And then I believe the GIP RC and the Beta FPV are probably the most similar. And so put these side by side, you can see from this perspective, the boot button's in the same spot, so is the voltage regulator, MPU 6000, F4 chip, OSD chip. All of these solder points are also in the same location as well. And on the underside you can see the FETs also looking pretty similar, and also the motor plugs are already soldered on, so that looks super similar. I think though that the one difference that is the one difference between the GIP RC and the Beta FPV one is there's no buzzer pad here. So on the GIP RC there's these buzzer pads right there, but on the Beta FPV all you get is this resistor or capacitor right there, so no buzzer pads there. So no buzzer capability for the Beta FPV board. So that is one minor difference. And I look at the Beta FPV versus the iFlight. Again, no black box chip. The boot button's in a different spot, as well as the voltage regulator due to the layout. I think that's to accommodate the pins for the VTX. I think that the Beta FPV design came first, and then you had the GIP RC design, and then the iFlight design. So these are just probably an evolution of the same design, probably to meet the specifications of the different vendors. So I bet iFlight asked specifically for this setup here with the pins, and they altered the layout to accommodate the video transmitter. Okay, so we'll take a look at the one from Nameless RC. I think this was the one that looked the most different. So you get the XT30 just like everything else, and this one does not have the motor plugs already soldered on, which is going to be nice for those of you guys that are removing the motor plugs in some situations where you would rather do that. This is probably going to be better for you, and you still got the rubber grommets there. It looks like this is the same big ones that come on the other ones. I think the Beta FPV one is the only one that comes with the small grommets. And here is the board, and this one also similar looking as well. No motor plugs, of course. Oh, and the bottom of the board looks completely different from the other ones, as you can see here. So let's just bring in the GIP RC and orient the USB port to the top there. You can see that the FETs on this one must be a different design entirely. The FETs are much larger on the GIP RC than on the Nameless RC one. The FETs are small, even though they're both supposed to be 12 amps, so this might be a new FET design that might be more efficient, smaller, something like that. This feels a lot lighter and thinner, as you can see. The board, yeah, this feels lighter because the boards are thinner as well. You see the thickness of the board difference there, much thinner on the Nameless RC one versus the GIP RC. I believe also thickness, they feel same on the other ones, so the iFlight's the same as well as the one from GIP Beta FPV. So I can just tell you right now that from the information that I know, the Beta FPV, the GIP RC, and the iFlight boards, these three here are all made at the same factory. So I can't tell you who told me this. I don't want to reveal my sources, but I am told that these are made at the same factory, just from different specifications from the different vendors. So Beta FPV asked for a specific specification here, then the design was altered for GIP RC, and then also altered again for iFlight. So these three are made at the same factory. Now this one here is made at a different facility. That's what I'm told. But it also looks fairly similar. So they may have borrowed the design in some aspects from this one, because this is the most recent design. So as far as I know, this is the way the designs came out. The Beta FPV came out first, then the GIP RC, then the iFlight. You can see sort of an evolution here as things changed and evolved. This is the most recent one. So this might have the newest components, the newest design, maybe that's why it's thinner and lighter. I don't know how any of these really perform, other than the Beta FPV one, which I had. This is the second one that I have. The first one I got died, as you probably saw from a previous video. But let's just look at the GIP RC versus the Nameless RC. And pretty similar from the top here. You got the MPU 6000 over on the left, then the F4, then the OSD chip. Boot buttons over here, and you have your battery lead at the same spot. So they obviously probably just kind of borrowed the same design. There's only so many layouts that will work on this tiny board with all the components that you want to put on here. And if you look at the solder points for, I think over here is going to be your receiver LED as well. Don't see one for a buzzer on this one. And you got your VTX camera connections here. So these solder points are a little bit smaller than the ones on the GEP RC board. Should still be doable. I think the biggest difference is going to be the bottom. Looks like the FETs are totally different on this one. So let's see how this one performs. And I do like the fact that you don't the motor plugs aren't already soldered, because I've actually been removing them because a lot of the motors now don't come on plugs now, at least ones that you want to use. So that's pretty much it. I just wanted to show you. A lot of people were asking me what these differences were between these four boards and which one to get. I don't know exactly the performance of these yet, but they're gonna go into build all eventually, and we'll see how they all perform. But I'm thinking that this is the most recent one here might be the best, because they probably fixed all the weird issues. But I don't know yet. We'll see. I'll probably do the iFlight one next. I've already put this one into a pickle frame that is in a video that's not out yet. The videos are like several weeks behind. I have a lot of footage I have to edit, so please be patient. Those videos will come, and yeah, just let me know if you have any questions, and I will try and answer them in future videos. So hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it was helpful, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.